Well, it's time to get back to work for the Ohio State Buckeyes, definitely for the Cincinnati Bengals, and definitely for the Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
as tonight the Browns take on the New York Jets in Monday Night Football. Browns haven't been on Monday Night Football for a long, long time. They're going to be in primetime a lot, and if they sink to 0-2, Chris, it's going to be very tough to make the playoffs because these Jets do not have Sam Darnold, do not have a couple other guys. It's early to be a must-win, but because of who the Jets don't have and how the Browns played in Week 1, I think it's a must-win for them.
Questionable kicking game for the Jets, too. Look, I think it is a must win because it's a fragile team. They may not say they're fragile, but history tells us different. If you start 0-2 in a season, your chances of making the playoffs are somewhere around 12 to 15%.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is a playoff team in their minds. And after the debacle that we had last week for the Browns, I expect a totally different team. I expect they respond and they respond well. Not worried about Baker Mayfield and that offense. I think the offense is fine. I want to see how this defense can take advantage of an undermanned Jets offense. That's the key. And if they can do that, it should be interesting. And of course, we have the subplot with Greg Triple G Williams.
Yes.
And OBJ accusing him of teaching dirty play, which you better be careful of doing that. I don't think that a coach could never cause a player to be a dirty football player.
Can't
never
force
do
it to.
No,
yeah.
Never.
Would
never.
it inspire you as a Jets defensive player if an opponent like Odell Beckham Jr. said that about your defensive coordinator?
I care less.
Okay.
I mean,
some people think that.
Yeah, I think at certain levels, whether that's high school or college, I think that can be the case. But these are NFL guys. I got too many other things to worry about besides my defensive coordinator's feelings. I don't care. He doesn't care about my feelings. He cares about my production. I don't care about his feelings. I care about whether he's going to call a good game or not.
Two guys with reputations.
Yes.
Odell Beckham has a reputation, and Greg Triple G Williams has a reputation. So, I don't know. To me, it was just a lot of drama. I was surprised Odell did it. Again, we talked about Odell with the watch and the needless distraction. I think this is a needless distraction. I mean, you don't have to. You can feel that, and it's fine. And Odell Beckham has an injury history related to playing against Greg Williams' defenses, and he can believe that, and I have no problem with him believing that, given Greg Williams' history. But again, you bring a distraction on your football team when you do that, and I don't believe that it's one of those situations where you say, well, I'm going to create a distraction where I'm the focus to take the pressure off Baker Mayfield. I don't think Odell is doing that.
No, I don't know if that's in his mindset, although Odell Beckham does have a claim to make. I don't know if you're talking about the play where
the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, he's coming across the middle and a guy goes right at his knee. Yeah. I mean but that's not on Greg Williams. That's on that player. That player made a poor decision. I don't know if it was intentional or not. I'm not in his head or his brain. I don't know if he's trying to take the knee of OBJ. I have no idea. It was a dirty shot and a shot that was unnecessary.
Yeah, so Odell Beckham goes in there tonight. The Browns certainly should win this football game. Kickoff around 8:15 on ESPN, and we'll see what we get. And we'll be reflecting on that on Wednesday. There's not a whole lot to reflect on from your game in Cincinnati yesterday. Man, the Cincinnati Bengals, who oddly enough came out of a Week 1 loss with tons and tons of optimism, now they are who we thought they were in terms of a team in the Tua Tagovailoa sweepstakes, because they looked horrible yesterday. How does that happen? Is that there was a lot of talk on the web afterward about Kyle Shanahan out coaching Zach Taylor? Is it disparity of talent? Is it just one team flat? I mean, what do you see when you see a result like that?
Are you aware of who Peter Schrager is?
Yeah.
On Good Morning Football? He's a friend of mine, and then we talk quite a bit. So he texted me this morning, and he asked me, are the 49ers that good and the Bengals that bad? I said, the 49ers aren't that good, but they're really good. Mm-hmm. They're a really good football team. The Bengals are not a great football team, but they're not that bad. That was not the team that went up and played in Seattle. Offensively, they just couldn't get in any rhythm. Defensively, it was probably the worst performance of a Cincinnati Bengal defense since last year. How's that?
Yeah, since last year.
Here's the thing. They were slipping. They missed tackles. They couldn't get off blocks, and they were mental bust. That's not the team that I saw play against Seattle. Now, what they have to do is they have to get it together. This is, teams can look different each week. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals aren't that bad of a football team. Watch the Atlanta Falcons beat the Philadelphia Eagles last night. The Atlanta Falcons looked awful against the Minnesota Vikings. Then they come back and beat Philadelphia. These are professional football players, NFL football players, and I expect the Bengals should bounce back. Now, Zach Taylor, I think he's a good coach. He's the right coach for the Bengals. I really do. You can't hire a guy and say, okay, win every game right now.
No.
There's a system that's being put in place. This is the third offense in 3 years that Andy Dalton is going to run and is running. When they get A.J. Green back, it's going to be a very effective offense. They've had some horrible – I'm not making excuses. I'm just putting facts.
I mean, it's the reality.
They've had some horrible injuries on the offensive line. Cordy Glenn, he's been out, right? Starting tackle. You're trying to put Andre Smith in there. He got injured yesterday. You look at Michael Jordan. He got carted off yesterday, unfortunately. The guard rookie from Ohio State. And
Jonah Williams, number one.
Jonah Williams overall gets hurt or has not been playing. So, and out for the year. So all these factors add up. But I do think the Bengals are heading in the right direction, even though that wasn't the case yesterday. And one other point I want to make, and I made it numerous times on the broadcast, and people used to laugh at me because they go back to one call. Kyle Shanahan is the best offensive mind in NFL today. I am telling you what he's able to generate with backups last year.
Yeah.
Able to get George Kittle the ball last year and be able to set plays up and future plays up by running certain plays just to set future plays up. Nobody does it better than Kyle Shanahan. And I just want to make one last point on this because when I was saying that, people were looking at me, you're nuts, you're crazy. What about the Super Bowl when he could have run the ball up when they were I said, that's Dan Quinn's decision.
Yes, it is.
That's not Kyle Shanahan's decision. So, and to confirm it, 2 weeks in a row, I take little surveys when I do these production meetings. I don't like to waste coach's time. I spend 10 minutes with them at the most. I ask them, who's the best play caller in the game? And 2 for 2, Kyle Shanahan. Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, guy's the best in business.
Yeah.
He is the best in the business.
Well, I thought the way you guys showed it yesterday, there were 2 plays you showed, like a run left, and then you throw it a pass. I think it was to Kittle across the middle off the same exact action. That's great offense. And now Kyle Shanahan will be challenged because they lost Joe Staley for like 6 or 8 weeks. Their tackle. But the Bengals can't run the ball. They can't run the ball because their offensive line is disappointing. And we should say, as much as it pains us to say, part of the reason their offensive line has been disappointing is because Billy Price has been disappointing. Yeah. Did Billy Price's name come up in your pregame conversations down there? Because I got to tell you,
He came in for Michael Jordan.
I am stunned Billy Price has not been a transformative player on the Bengals offensive line.
Yeah, I think Billy's probably as disappointed as anybody. And, he's got a chance to turn it around. He's young in his career. Might be a confidence thing. Here's one thing that I've noticed, and you would think like NFL players, Bruce, they're like the most confident dudes in the world, right? They believe in themselves. They're an NFL player. They've made it to the highest level from whatever position it may be. We talk about confidence all the time, from wide receivers to quarterbacks to corners. Yeah. Those are the big confident positions. Yeah. Well, offensive linemen have it. And right now, and I haven't talked to Billy, so I don't know, but I'm just getting a feeling, and watching him play yesterday, he got a holding call when he did get a chance to play. I think he's just lacking confidence. If he can get that confidence back and he's going to get a chance to play now, we'll see how he responds to that challenge.
Well, the Buckeyes certainly do not lack for confidence. Big over the Indiana Hoosiers on Saturday, 51-10. This is your Flashes O Fun picture-perfect play of the day. It comes from Damon Arnett. Nice job by Gus Johnson folding in the Chris Carter story there, and Flashes of Fun will do a great job on your senior pictures or pet pictures. Look for them on Instagram, FlashesOFun, or on the web at flashesofun.com.
First of all, I love Gus Johnson. He's thing I love about him, and it's I think what people feel about me as an analyst, you either love him or you hate him. There's no lukewarm. At least
No,
you
because he doesn't leave you room to be lukewarm. You either love the enthusiasm or you're like, okay,
Yeah.
man, dial it back.
I think he's really good, and especially on big calls like that. And Joel Klatt shutting his mouth during that call, which is Joel's really good too. So kudos to Gus Johnson. The interesting point about that play was I think there were maybe 7 other Buckeyes leading into
escorting him into the end zone. No Hoosiers.
I mean, it is what it is. The one thing I learned about this week in watching college football, Big Ten's awful. People are saying the SEC, the Big Ten is awful.
I agree. That's why I tweeted
You're right.
You and I on our podcast Saturday after the game were very effusive in our praise of Ohio State, and I got some response. And you can always email the show, Spielman and Hooley podcast at gmail.com. Spielman Hooley podcast at gmail.com. People are like, oh, come on, it's Indiana. It's Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, Indiana. How can you say this? They got to play Michigan State. They got to play Wisconsin. They got to play Penn State. They got to play Michigan. I'm like, yeah, they do. Have you watched those teams play? I mean, Michigan State yaks one away against Arizona State at home. Their offense is terrible. Penn State had a hard time shaking, who was it? It was not Middle Tennessee State. It was Buffalo or somebody 2 weeks ago. They dinked around for a half against them. Then Pittsburgh is not a great team. They had a really hard time with Pitt on Saturday. Michigan, I watched them against Army. I don't see anything at Michigan that scares me. Wisconsin, if the game were at Camp Randall, I would say that's the game. Mm-hmm. But the game is not at Camp Randall. And it's Ohio Stadium. I believe Ohio Stadium is a 10-point advantage for Ohio State. And Wisconsin is just not 10 points better than Ohio State.
I agree. And I think Wisconsin's one-dimensional. And the way Ohio State's playing run defense this year, I mean, I don't know. What was it, the second quarter before Indiana had positive yardage? Yeah. They had 36 carries for 42 yards or some crazy number like that. Well, Jonathan Taylor's the guy. If he goes off, then it's a problem for Ohio State. If Ohio State stops Jonathan Taylor and you can enforce Wisconsin to have their beat you throwing the ball, which is not their identity, it's not who they are, then you'll beat them. And I'm going to learn a lot about Wisconsin and Michigan this week. I mean, that's a game of interest to me.
Certainly. Michigan noon. At Wisconsin.
On Fox at noon. Yep. So I just, the biggest challenge that Ryan Day has is not, hey, Justin, get better pocket presence. It's, hey, guys, don't get overconfident. I get it. Yeah. Ryan Day is like hitting a daily double right now. He's got a quarterback that's playing, I think, above what his expectations, and he's playing in a league that is not very good this year.
And Ryan referred to that because he's getting a lot of questions about how do you keep these guys focused, how do you not get them, how are they not become overconfident when guys like Chris and I are saying what we're saying about them, that they're a lock playoff team. Here's Ryan Day referring to that after the game.
I thought we missed some deep balls. I thought we had guys Justin, he knows he left some yards on the field. But again, I think the maturity of a coaching staff, the maturity of a team is to go find the issues on film and get them fixed. Because as time goes on and we start to play other teams and we get into the thick of the Big Ten, those issues are going to come up. And so it's our job to find them and get them addressed and to really be critical of the players without creating resentment. And that's the key. And I thought we did that last week, and the kids took the coaching, and we got to keep building from here and find those issues because they're there.
They are there, but I always tell my kids, and this is a saying that I'm sure a lot of parents use, I didn't get to the sale at PacSun, Dad. I was late. That's a first world problem, daughter.
Yeah.
You missed a couple deep balls.
First world problem. Yeah.
In the college football world, here I got an idea, and I'm sure Ryan won't. Maybe he'll take it in and use it. I don't know. My idea would be this: I'm playing Iowa from 2 years ago and Purdue on videotape throughout the facilities.
Just
this
to keep them humble.
Is what can happen.
Yeah.
Then I would play Urban holding up the glass trophy and all the team all around him, or this could happen.
Yeah,
that's it. That's my only motivation, because you can't lie to players.
No, they know how easy it is.
They are good,
yeah.
And they know they are. You can't lie to them. You're not going to say, "Hey, we're not that good." Nobody believes that. They have eyes. They watch TV. They read social media. They know they are good, and I wouldn't lie to them. You guys,
no, I don't think he has to. And this gets to what I said after the game, and there was a snippet in that comment from Ryan we just played, where he said we want to correct them without creating resentment. Now, I said after the game that I think for this team this year, he's the perfect coach. That's not a knock on Urban. Urban recruited a great, great team. I believe they would be a great team with Urban, and I just think that this team is playing with a relaxed enthusiasm that maybe it's not possible to play with when you have a guy like Urban who is so demanding of excellence. Did you catch Ryan Day where he said, we want to correct him without creating resentment? Now, you've said before, Urban is, always on you. Everything's a competition, I think you've said with Urban. I'm not sure that correcting a problem without creating resentment was a priority for Urban. And that's what I'm talking about, is the distinction between Urban and Ryan Day.
So there's probably two different styles is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean one style is better than another style. But what we are seeing in the early returns is that this Buckeye team is responding to the style of Ryan Day.
This Buckeye team.
Yes, this Buckeye, one. Yeah, and the other Buckeye teams, when Urban's first year, when he goes 12-0, right?
You could not have coached that team relaxed. You had to stay on him. And here's what I'll say about.
But relaxed they're still demanding.
Right. Well, Ryan's competitive and demanding. I mean, that comment that he said we got to find mistakes.
He's not Tubby Tuberville or Tommy Tuberville.
No. Yeah. And here's what I'll say: Urban never let a small thing become a big thing because he caught all the small things. I think Ryan's catching all the small things too. His concern is let's keep it as positive as we can in correcting them. The challenge for Ryan Day will be the reason why he's able to be that, in my label, fresh breeze, is because he's got a team full of guys who remember how it was and are still living under the accountability that Urban ingrained in the culture. Eventually, those guys leave the program, and eventually you risk that accountability also leaving the program. And the challenge for Ryan will be 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Does that accountability still exist in the program because he is a different guy than Urban? He's not as on you, in your face as Urban. And that has a purpose in a college football program. Nick Saban coaches that way. A lot of coaches who are elite coaches coach that way. The kinder, gentler approach, just to put a kind of a generalization on it, it's hard to keep that accountability over time.
Sometimes, each guy it's the good cop, bad cop thing. I guarantee you there's some assistants that are on certain guys.
Good point.
And you have to have that at the collegiate level. Everybody always asks me what's the biggest difference between the college game, besides talent and all that stuff, in the NFL game. In the college game, coaches need to be accountable for the performance of the players. In the NFL game, players are the most effective accountability enforcer of its players.
Player to player.
Player to player. Film. The film is the most effective. You want to get a player to play? Everybody watch the film together as a team. And how humbling it is to see you get your rear end kicked. And by the way, if you're playing an NFL game, there are going to be times when you are going to get hammered or smashed or embarrassed physically.
Yeah.
And you hold that and you show that film in front of the whole team. That's accountability. That's how you hold a team accountable in the NFL. In college, coaches are responsible for the accountability of players doing their job. In the NFL, it's the opposite. Players hold players accountable for doing their job.
It'll be interesting for Ryan to see whether he can find any fault with an Ohio State running game Saturday. J.K. Dobbins, 193 yards. Master Teague, a guy who Chris and I really
Can
love.
we say we were first?
Yeah, I think we can say we were first on the Master Teague bandwagon, as the coaches were slow to publicly embrace Master Teague. I think some of that might have been because they've gone through this year where they're trying to get more out of J.K. Dobbins, but they're not necessarily like riding J.K. Dobbins. So maybe they were careful not to talk up Master Teague because they didn't want to, get in J.K.'s head. Master Teague on Saturday, 10 carries, 106 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 22 for 193. It all speaks to maybe some changes in the Ohio State offense from the Dwayne Haskins era where it was throw first and throw often. Now Ohio State obviously has a lot of balance, and we thought the run game to have this kind of production would have to feature a bunch of zone reads from Justin Fields. Not the case on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm proud of our offensive staff. passing attack last year to now we're starting to run the ball, and I think that shows the versatility of our offense and that we can do both. And I think when you can have a balanced attack, it's important. But when you can get that run going, you can really control the game, and I think that's what we did today. That's our goal in any game this year. But last year was a little bit different with Dwayne. It was just a whole different set of dynamics. This year, with we have multiple tight ends, we got a big veteran offensive line. I think we're creating some depth at running back, and then to be able to do that and throw play action pass is really the idea right here. And so again, where does it go from here? I don't know, but I remember talking in the preseason, like where's the journey? What's this offense going to look like? And we're starting to forge our identity, I think.
Well, they're also going from under center, which was
Yeah.
a rarity last year, and one of the reasons was Michael Jordan had a hard time with the quarterback center exchange. Well, it's clear to me that the Ohio State coaching staff and Ryan Day are listening to Spielman and Hooley podcast.
That's good.
It's
a lot
clear.
of people are. We appreciate it.
It's clear. No, I just think that I don't know why they're slow to embrace Master Teague, but when you look at it, the way J.K. Dobbins plays, I think he had a perfect number of carries for a starting running back and your number one guy, which is clearly J.K. Dobbins, at 22 carries. Okay?
Mhm.
Master Teague is a changeup, and he's fresh, and he, I think, energizes an offensive line because he runs through people. And both of the guys are north-south guys, man. I mean, Master Teague is straight north-south. One cut and downhill, and gosh forbid anybody in his way is going to pay a price. But it's only going to make them that much more effective. And we talk about all the positions. The biggest surprise for me, and I thought this offensive line was awesome on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
The way they sustain blocks and finish through the whistle is inspiring to a football team. And how that group is playing in Greg Studwa, is that how we pronounce it?
Studrawa.
Studrawa, but
Yeah.
I've known the guy for years, so I just call him Stud.
Yeah.
It's a credit to his coaching and the guys responding to what he's teaching.
Ryan Day had some comments about that offensive line and the defensive line, two areas where Ohio State dominated Indiana and likely areas where they'll continue to dominate.
Well, I think the O-line the last 2 weeks has done a really good job, and Kevin and Stud have done a really good job preparing the guys, not only with the looks, but just getting them going, just in terms of how they're running off the ball and moving the line of scrimmage. And I thought J.K.
Correct.
was running hard, Master's been in there, he's running hard, and that matters as well, because it's one thing to get the guy to the second level, it's another guy to make that guy miss for big plays. And I think the D-line has controlled the line of scrimmage as well. They've created some sacks, created some turnovers, and we can get teams in a throwing situation. I think it's advantage us.
Score in all three phases Saturday: offense, defense, special teams. Punt block by Chris Olave. It didn't turn the game around. I thought it broke Indiana's spirit. Like if they had any idea, like the block punt was like, no, not today.
So how many other teams can afford in the Big Ten to play their best wide receiver, one of their most productive wide receivers on special teams? So
Well,
that's another Urban Meyer trait, I guess.
You play him there because he blocked a punt against Michigan. He blocked a punt against Indiana. Touchdown catch, block punt, both games.
But that
How about the catch along the sideline where they initially said it wasn't a catch, and they go back and replay it? I mean, the kid is just an amazing receiver, amazing hands.
The other thing is that because it's Ohio State, you can get your stars. Hey, you're playing special teams, dude. You have something to offer. And Ryan Day and the staff have the luxury of putting their starters on special teams, because if Olave happened to get hurt on special teams, it doesn't matter. The stormtrooper right behind him probably looked just like him.
Yeah, I mean, they had 17 completions to 7 different guys, nobody with fewer than 2, nobody with more than 4. So good luck picking out the guy you have to stop there. Miami of Ohio, who is Ohio State's opponent on Saturday at 3:30. Miami of Ohio, which lost to Cincinnati for the 14th straight time
Big
on Saturday in the Victory Bell Battle. I guess it's the longest running trophy game in college football. There's a trophy. There's a trivia question you can win a drink with. 38-14. So the team that Ohio State beat 2 weeks ago, 42-0, beat the team they're playing this week, 38-14. I did sit down last night and watch Iowa, Miami of Ohio. And Miami of Ohio has a true freshman quarterback, Blaine Gabbert's little brother. They're not terrible. but that might have been some of it because Iowa's not Ohio State.
I was not going to blow you off. They're a good football.
It was a game at halftime, and then Iowa ran away in the second
Kirk
half.
Ferentz plays in coaches in his style is Jim Tressel style.
Yeah,
that's what they are.
Definitely. Now there was a moment yesterday in the Bengals game that was very interesting. It had nothing to do with the play on the field, but certainly when there was a blowout,
there wasn't anything interesting.
There wasn't anything interesting on the field. So you're filling time. You're doing everything you can do. You're going deep into the pregame prep. And they go to the booth, and here's Chris Spielman standing next to Tom Brenneman talking about an experience you had in the NFL with Bengals all-time great Anthony Munoz. And why is that not playing? I have no idea why that's not playing. Should play. Oh, here. Now I figured it out. The engineering part of this is... anyway, we'll get back to that. But do you guys have stuff there in case it gets out of hand every week?
No, I mean, that's just part of the every game preparation. I mean, we have a bunch of stuff, but that's just part of the preparation. And the thing about a broadcast is we never force anything. I mean, that's why I leave on Thursday. We're meeting Friday. We're meeting Saturday morning. We're meeting Saturday night. And you just never know what's going to come up, but you want to be prepared for everything, but you rarely use everything, right?
Yeah, rarely, but yesterday I think you went deep into the well. There you go. That was Tom Brenneman not knowing you were going to do that.
No. And the problem is I love football so much. And when I start talking about football, I get fired up.
Yes, you do.
And when I went to hit him, I wasn't going to hit him that hard, but I hit him really hard. And what I did was I put my left hand behind his back to make sure that he wouldn't go down.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you don't want to injure the play-by-play
after
man.
that, continued on, and Tom and Marty Brenneman, of course, is retiring after the 46-year career this year, and Tom's going to do some, I think, Marty's second to last game with his dad, which is really cool. But I was kidding Tom. I said, Tom, half the people in Cincinnati are standing up cheering that I just clotheslined you, right? He goes, you got that right.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Tom is extremely talented. You guys are good together. You've had a lot of
great partners,
people over the years, and you've gotten along with all of them. I mean, you do a nice job maximizing them, and I think he does a nice job maximizing you.
It's interesting because I always hear people, and I don't know if anybody's interested in broadcast story stuff, but I am. So you'll have to listen.
That's right. I think people are interested by that.
Sometimes there's tension in broadcast booths. And I think
we had the Tigers broadcasters got in a fight last year.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a great point.